All right, cool. So listen, guys, this is gonna be a really, really cool day. I'm gonna go ahead and kick this thing off. If I get really excited, please slow me down. But what I'm gonna be talking about today is JavaScript. JavaScript is one of the most popular languages on the web. It started off as a replacement for, so you have two things, right? You have a front end and you have back end. So the back end languages were like C and C++ and Java. So when you hear about programming languages, those are like the back end languages. And then you had HTML and CSS on the front end, right? Showing all the visuals and everything. So somebody figured like we need to be able to way to connect these two on an easier basis. It needs to be easier to take information from the back end. So let's just say like your database and then display it onto the web page, onto your HTML. So JavaScript became like that middle language. It's like a pigeon language. It's in between the front end and the back end. So you use JavaScript. It's kind of like Java, if you ever heard of Java, but it's really a different, it's a front end version of Java. That's what they made it for. So starting off, it was actually created back in 1995. So it's been around for a while. And people actually didn't think it was going to be around for this long. It's been hated by a lot of people just because it lacks a lot of standards. And it just, for a while, it just didn't get respect. So people thought it was going to die out, but come to find out, it's still here 20 something years later, and people are using it more than ever. So the cool thing about JavaScript is that it's extensible. Extensible just means that anybody, including you and I, can contribute to that code and add like a library on top of it. So people are building all kind of cool stuff on top of JavaScript and these different frameworks and making it even easier to use and more powerful to use. So now it's to the point to where you can use JavaScript and HTML to create like a whole website without ever using a backend language. Sometimes you still, of course, want to use backend languages, but there's been situations where I didn't need to learn Java or C# or Python or use any of those languages in order to build a website from scratch. So even with functionality. So that brings me to my next point. The point of JavaScript is it's supposed to bring like some type of interactivity to your website, bring some type of dynamic aspect to it. So pretty much right now, everything we've been building has been super static, meaning that we put elements onto a page, but nothing happens when we look at those elements. Besides a video, you can press play or something like that. But everything besides that, nothing changes on it. It's not dynamic. So that's just plain HTML by itself because that's just a skeleton. And then CSS is like the style, like the clothes or the meat to a skeleton. And then JavaScript now is going to be the muscle. I like to think of it as the muscle because it's going to bring some extra power and help us be able to do more complex things that we can't do with just HTML. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you can see some JavaScript in action. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in a little bit. And remember, just in webinar etiquette, if you're having problems with connections, just refresh and join us again. Try to turn off anything else in your area that may be using up too much internet. And yeah, if you have any problems, can't hear me, or if I glitch out, just drop a message so I know, and that way I can repeat myself. So let's see. This right here is I'm gonna show you how JavaScript gets embedded into your HTML page. So as you notice, we have like a regular HTML document here, right? Just a normal HTML document. But what you also notice is now we have this new tag. This new tag is called a script tag. Excuse me, adjust my computer. It's called the script tag. So just like every other HTML tag, or at least 99% of them, it has an open and it has a close. So we open it up with script and then we close it with script. The browser now knows anything in between the script tag is going to be treated as JavaScript, and then it's going to execute it as JavaScript. Now, like I said, JavaScript is a whole different language in itself. We're not even going to, I'm going to build up into all of the different things, but just know that JavaScript comes built in with certain characters, like certain objects, certain functions that already exist for us to use. So it's really cool. It's a lot of stuff we just have to learn what's already there for us to use and then put it together and build our specific programs. So I'm gonna start off by showing you some simple examples of like a built-in function. So let's just say you ever go to a website and you want to alert the user of something. This is an example of how. All right. So this right here is a keyword called alert. And as you notice, anything that has parentheses, we're going to call that a function. So this is a built-in function. And you call that function by saying alert, use these parentheses, and then we're going to talk about the other stuff that happens. But let me just click run so you can see it actually in action. So when I click run up here to the top of the screen, you'll notice a alert box pop up that says, hello to everyone in the tribe. All right, so this is just a standard alert. Every browser has a alert functionality, so you can tell your JavaScript code to tell the browser to alert some message to the users. And like I told you before, the browser executes code from the top going down towards the bottom. So it starts up here with the HTML, then body, then H2, then P tags. When it gets to the alert, it stops here, executes this code, which means show an alert, and then it keeps going down. So I'm going to show you an example. If I do another alert, this time I'm going to do an alert of a number, 100. Okay. Let's run. It's going to alert the first message, which is hello to everyone in the tribe. And then after I click OK, it's going to alert the next message, which is 100. So it executes everything incrementally, one line at a time. So if you have any questions, let me know. I want to talk a little bit about what you see right here. Alert is the keyword, but then in between these parentheses, every function, just so you know, looks like this. Function, and it's shaped like this. This is what it looks like. All right. You have the name of the function. You don't want to call it function, though, of course. You call it something more descriptive. So you have the name, and then you put parentheses, and then you put a semicolon. Okay. This is a typical function. All right. And then remember, these are JavaScript comments. When you do // that's a JavaScript comment. So all functions have surrounding, so I'm gonna call it open and close parentheses. Okay. All functions have open and close parentheses. And then some functions can accept parameters. So what are parameters? Parameters are pretty much anything that you pass to the function, that you put in between the quotation marks, and you're telling the function to do something with this data. So think of it as like a machine, a factory, right? You have this line, a conveyor belt, and when you put something in on the conveyor belt, it goes through this machine, and then it comes out as something different. That's what's happening with these functions. We're passing in some text, or we're passing in some numbers, and then that function can execute it and make it turn into something else, or it can even return something different. So I'm gonna show you the two differences. Can you only put a JavaScript in the body of the HTML, or can it go anywhere else? Great question, Montrese. You can also import JavaScript from a different file. So that would look something like this. You would say same thing. You would say script tag, right? Open and close. But instead, what you would do is you would say source equals, and then you would say something like JS / my JS file.js. So we're gonna get to this soon. We're not gonna worry about that right now. This is called external CSS, and then this is the embedded CSS. External JavaScript, external JS, and this is embedded JS, embedded JavaScript. So we're going to talk about doing this and why it's important to, eventually you want to mostly import your JavaScript this way, but I just want to show it for easier sense. I want to just show you right now embedded. So let's talk about parameters a little bit more. Like I said, you can pass different parameters to your functions. Some functions don't accept them, some do. But everyone that accepts it, they all do something a little different, right? Every function is a little different. So let me show you another function. This one is called prompt. How old are you? Okay. So I'm going to comment out these functions right here. This is just some code, test code. So I'm going to comment that out so the browser doesn't run it. But instead, it's going to run something new. So I click run. Oops. See, I must got an error somewhere. Oh, I got this code right here that says function. Let me get rid of this. I'm sorry. It's causing an error. All right, click run. Okay, now I see my prompt pop up. So prompt is pretty much, it's just like an alert, but instead it doesn't show, excuse me, click run again. It doesn't just show a message. It also shows an input box. So the person can input some text here, and then we can take that text and store it into what's called a variable. Okay, so I'm gonna show you an example. I click 100, 199, nothing happens, right? But if I wanted to do something with that value, what I would do is I would say var, which stands for variable, and you say age equals prompt. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that it's actually working. So I say var age equals prompt, which means I'm going to get the age from the user, and then I'm going to alert whatever number that they put in. So let's see if that works. Click run. How old are you? I say I'm 40 years old. Click OK. And then I get a message again that shows up for the alert that says 40. So anything I put inside of there is what's going to show up over here. So let me click run again. This time I'm going to say my age is 35. Click OK. Now you see the alert that says my age is 35. So the prompt is just a built-in function that tells the browser to alert with a pop-up box and then also show an input box inside of that. Okay. And then anything that they store in it, it returns from this function. So let me put that, I'm going to put a comment right here so you understand that. Prompt returns a value. A return a value just means that it's going to, every function can either return a value or it can't, like I told you before. So if it returns a value, you can store that value into a variable. And this is our variable right here called age. And then later on, we could do anything we want with that variable. So I'll give you another example. We can also say, your age times 4 equals age times 4. Okay, so that's how you do a age. I mean, that's how you do a multiplication. You just use the asterisk, and that asterisk is a way to just do a quick multiplication. So we're going to take whatever the age is, multiply it by 4, and then store it into this variable that we just created called your age times 4. And then what I want to do is I want to alert that message. I want to alert what your age times 4 is. So click OK. I'm going to say my age is 20. Press OK. And now the message that I get back is 80 because my age times 4 is 80. 20 times 4 is 80. Okay, so far so good, Mike. All right. So yeah, feel free. Go ahead, ask away. Whatever questions you have, I'm gonna take my time and make sure you get this. So if you're okay with this, say I understand. If not, you can go ahead and ask any questions you got. So prompt is a built-in function. It returns whatever, it returns a value. The value that it returns is whatever that the user puts in. We store that into a variable called age. Okay, we store that into a variable called age. So this is just showing you how we can make our websites more interactive. We can take information from our users and then manipulate it and then display it again. So for example, we can take, let's say a customer wants, you're selling t-shirts and your t-shirts are $20 a piece. Okay, the customer can enter the number. You can have a text box that says, how many t-shirts would you like? So they can put in the number, they put in 5. And then what you need to do is in the background with your JavaScript, you need to multiply. You need to say, okay, 5 t-shirts times $20. Okay, that math, but then you need to display that on the screen. 5 times 20 equals 100. You need to display $100 onto the screen so that the user knows their subtotal. So that's the power of learning how to use these variables, using customer input, multiplication. Okay, because then you can manipulate the data and then display it to them more updated. So just be specific. If you have questions, let me know what you're thinking. All right, Ariel, if you have a specific question, let me know. That way we don't go too far without you understanding it. And another thing is this is totally new. So this is what I tell people all the time. Anytime you're learning something new, I don't care what it is, usually you need to hear it twice just to make sure you understand it. So that's why you might catch me repeating myself, because I want to make sure you hear it more than once. That way it starts to soak into your brain, because our brains just aren't processed just to understand everything the first time we hear it. Usually we need to hear it more than one time. That's why they say repetition is the father of learning, because that's how you train the brain. All right. So it's okay if you don't get everything in this first lesson. Rewatch the video again, and then you'll be able to even ask more clear questions as well. So these are just a couple built-in functions. I'm going to show you another function because it's very important that this next function I'm about to show you. So really quick, I'm going to do some more documentation. So prompt equals built-in function that accepts user input, returns user input. Okay. Alert is a built-in function that displays a static message, returns no value. It doesn't return anything. There's nothing to return. It just does an action. Yeah, Gala, for sure. For sure. That's how you get it, man. I'm telling you, I've racked my head against so many times trying to learn a new concept in programming. But once you learn it, it's just another stepping stone, and you feel so great. And you know, like every time you notice, like, I'm going to get over this. Just like I had a problem with an HTML tag, you're going to get over it. Now you're going to have a problem with this JavaScript, but you're going to get over it. And it's going to keep on building up just like that. It's just the repetition. So what else do we use so far? Okay, that's it. So we use those 2 built-in functions. I'm going to show you another built-in function. This one is called parseInt. This is a built-in function that extracts a number from a string. Extracts a number from a string. So I'm gonna give you an example. Number equals 10. That's an example of a number. Okay. This is an example of a string. Hello. Right? A string is wrapped around quotation marks. Okay. A number, it does not have quotation marks. It's just a plain numeric number. Okay. A plain numeric value. So right here, this is just me. I don't want to use the word number. So, because sometimes like some of these words are built-in keywords. So you got to be careful. You want to be more descriptive. Try not to use something built in. Like you notice, if I try to use the word var here, function, it highlights blue because it's built in. Function is also another one. Okay. Don't use any of the built-in words. So this is number example. Right. So this is just a variable holding a number called 10. This is just a variable holding a string called hello. A string could be one letter or it can be a whole string of letters. Okay. So it's really up to you. Like strings they just change. A string could be a welcome message on the screen. It can be a user street address. It can be a password. It can be a credit card information. A string is any kind of like group of characters. Okay. A number, of course, is just straight raw numbers. So most of the time, if you're entering information into a website, you're entering what's called a string to program it. So strings are different from integers. It's certain things you can do with strings that you can't do with integers. I'll give you an example. Uh, you can't add two strings together, right? You can add two numbers. You can do 5 plus 5, that equals 10, but you can't do J plus J equals JJ. So like, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't equal a number. Instead, that's called concatenation. So we're going to talk about that in a second too. So we got types. Types are, you have numbers, you have strings, and you have functions, and you have objects. We haven't got to objects yet, but we're talking about numbers and strings now, and we already talked about some functions. All right, like prompt and alert. So these are all built-in types. I want you to get used to hearing the word type. So just like different, like, oh, also, I guess variables. Variables also a type. Okay. So everything just has a particular type, and it's just a way to organize how things are made. So numbers are just numerical values. Strings, a group of characters, one word, or a sentence. We have functions. These are a function is it's pretty much like a code recipe, a set of instructions to execute, and sometimes return a value. Okay, sometimes you return a value from a function. Okay, so these are just some notes I'm giving for you guys, pretty much some definitions. Objects, it's like a I would say it's just a group of properties, excuse me, methods and properties. We're going to go over that in a second. And variables, a way to store values for later use. Okay, so these are just all different types. Is var a dynamic data type? Yeah, var is a dynamic. I would say so because it's a variable and it can dynamically change. So at one point I could say number example equals 10, but on this very next line I can say number example equals 20. I can rewrite it and change the whole value of it. So it's dynamic in that sense for sure. All right, so we're going to be using all of these different types to build our programs, right? To build this logic. So another built-in function I'm going to show you is called I'm going to go over here and put all my other functions. Okay, here it is, parseInt. So parseInt is a function that it extracts a number from a string. So let's say we have something like this. 13, right? If we have that as 13, we won't be able to do an addition. We won't be able to do something like var total equals string example plus 10. This won't work. We won't get 23. We'll get 1310. That's what we're gonna get. We're gonna get 1310. Okay. The reason why we get 1310 is because of something called concatenation. So concatenation is like joining one or more strings together. Okay. So because this is a string, because string example equals 13, it's not going to know to make these two numbers. Instantly what it does is it turns this 10 into 10 as a string, and then it combines the two together. So watch when I click run. I enter in anything here. 40. Okay, I want to alert. I want to alert right here. I want to alert this total. So the total, let's see what we get. See, we get 1310. We get 1310 because it's combining a string and a number together. Okay, let me know if that makes sense to you guys. 13 comes from this line right here. Let me get rid of this. So it's called concatenation. This is combining strings together. So you combine different strings. So guess what? The same way, if I had this right here, var, if I say item 1 equals $20, and I say var item 2 equals $40, and I say var total cost equals item 1 plus item 2. Okay, you see I use the plus sign. So plus sign equals combining strings together when we're doing concatenation. But when we're doing addition, that's the plus sign equals adding two numbers together. So the plus sign can have two different meanings. That's the most important part here. Later on, you're going to be using this plus sign a lot, and you're going to use it sometime to add numbers like we're doing here. This is going to give us a number back. Item 1 plus item 2 equals 40. Equals 60, because 20 plus 40 equals 60. So this is going to give me a number. But this one right here, because this is a string and this is a number, it's actually not going to, it's not going to get me back 23 like you would expect. Instead, it's going to get you back 1310, which is the string 13 combined with the number 10. So it literally just merges the two together. All right. The reason why you may want to do that is because, let's say you wanted to alert a message like this, alert, and I could say your total cost is, I'm going to do the plus sign. I'm going to concatenate total cost in. Okay, so that's concatenated in. So this total cost is item 1 plus item 2, which is 60. So I know 60 is going to get concatenated in right here. So it's going to say your total cost is 60. If I wanted to, it can also add a dollar symbol right here. So now it's going to look like a number. So your total cost is $, and then the variable total cost. So let's click run. And it says right up here, your total cost is $60. I'm sorry if that's super small, but they're not letting me zoom in on that alert box. So let me know if this is still making sense. What you think, Jay? Making sense? From that? Oh, I've been burning since earlier, right? Because it be working in the dark. I be having to tell you to get out the dark. I've seen you lately, but it be dark already. Just messing with JJ. Just messing with JJ. All right, so I'm just giving you guys a pause really quick just to see if any questions. All right, cool, cool. I'm glad you guys are getting this. This is good. This is good. All right, cool. All right, so that I said most of that so you can understand how strings and numbers are different and how they can be put together differently. With numbers, you add them. With strings, you concatenate them. And as you notice, only thing you need is one string. And then as soon as you have one string, the browser is going to think the other thing is a string too. So let's say, for example, I wanted this to actually become a number. I will use the parse int built-in function. And what you do with parse int is you just write that wrapped around. You have to do capital I. So parse int means parse the integer. If you look up what parse means, that means kind of like extract or to find. And so it's going to find the integer inside of the string, and it's going to return just that number, okay, without the quotation marks. So now right here, we're going to have total equals the parsed number plus 10. So now when it alerts, it's not going to say 1310. It's going to say what it's supposed to say. So 23, but here it goes right here. Okay, 23. Yeah, you just seen it. Just seen it. I'm sorry, I got a lot of stuff alerting. Let me close this out. Close that. All right, cool. So I'm just going to run that. And as you notice now, we get 23. Okay. It says 23 because we have 13, but then we parsed it and made it just 13 a number, not 13 a string, added 10 to it, and then alerted it. Making sense? All right, so parse int is just another built-in function. The reason why we had to use parse int here is because prompt, right in this right here in this example, which I'm going to uncomment again, prompt returns it doesn't just return a value, it returns a string value. So that's really important. It returns a string value. So even if the user puts in a number, if they put in the number 10, the problem is they still see age equals 10. And we want it to equals age equals just the number 10, not with the quotation marks around it. Okay. So let me comment this out right here because we're just going to now add our parse int there so we can make sure it becomes a number. So I want to do some interactivity really quick. If you guys can tell me, I need to add, let's just say I'm looking at this code right here. Okay. And I'm going to change this to, it's going to be called your age plus 4. Okay. So if I run this code right now, what is it going to alert? You can comment right below. Let me know what it's going to alert. The prompt says, how old are you? The variable name is your age plus 4, and it equals to age plus 4, the variable age plus 4. So what's going to be the value that's stored inside of your age plus 4? Let's go. Let's see what you guys thinking. Okay, we got a few. We got a few. Okay, it's 14, 10 plus 4. Okay. So to all right, I'm giving people a few more seconds. What you think? Hmm? Okay. Okay. All right, so it's cool. Shout out to everybody for participating. And the answer is, if I put in the number 10, 104. Now, the reason why it says 104 is because, like I told you, it returns, prompt is returning 10 as a string. So shout out to everybody who said 104 and got that correct. Uh, yeah, it's going to put these two together. It's just going to merge these two together. So it's going to turn that 10 into 10 plus 4. It's even going to turn that 4 into a 4 equals 104. So we, right now it's a string. We have to turn it into an integer. Now, how will we do it? How would you suggest we turn this into an integer? You guys can say it, or you can type the code, whatever you feel. Just let me know how you would turn this number so that way we can get a good math question. You know, a math, not two strings or one string. Yep, yep, yep. Parse int for sure. Where should I add the parse int to? Love you too. Some silly guys. The variable around the age variable. Parse int age plus 4. Total equals parse int. Okay, so I like Shanique's idea, Francel's idea. You can wrap it right around in front of your age plus 4. So not around. You can't put it around this on this side. You have to do it on this side. So you can write it right here. Parse int. Oops. Okay, so good job. Good job to everybody who guessed that one right. Okay, if you didn't, that's just the key thing right here is that you want to wrap it around whatever you want to that you know is a string. We know that age is a string because it's a value that came from prompt. All right, so now we want to take that value, it's inside of here, and put it, and then pretty much wrap it. So really cool. Thanks everybody who participated. Another way we could have did it was we could have stored in a whole different value. Like we could have just said var age as a number equals parse int age, and then down here we just put age as a number. So this will work as well. It's just another way to go about it. Really, really cool setup. Okay. So there really is different ways to pull this off. So that's the cool part about it all. All right. So now let me go over here. And, I'm gonna be waiting for questions. All right. I'm not going too far. So if you have questions, definitely let me know. All right. Cool. Cool. All right. So now what I want to talk about, open up something really quick for you guys. So this is another try me, all right? Really cool editor right here on W3 Schools. I like what they added right here. This is a no script tag. No script is another HTML tag. This one just means that if for some reason the browser doesn't support JavaScript, this message will show up. All right. This message will only show up if the browser doesn't support it. And the browser will pretty much, it will let you know. It will send an alert to the background. You don't have to do anything, but you can definitely post a message right here to let people know, like, hey, if you're not experiencing my website the way you wanted it to, that's because you probably turned JavaScript off and you need to turn it back on so the website can function properly. Okay. So no big deal with that. So now what I want to talk about, I want to build up into something else that you're going to be using a lot. Okay. It's something called the document object model. Some people just call it the DOM, and some people just call it the document. What this allows you to do is, this is the way the DOM allows you to access the HTML page. Okay. Okay. The DOM is an object, right? By far the most popular object, I would say, is being used in the background a lot. This is how you interact with JavaScript and HTML, right? The people who created JavaScript gave you this object, right? It's called document. And document has a bunch of properties already built into it, a bunch of function are already built into it. So just like we use the word alert and the keyword prompt, those are like global variables. Global functions that they global in the world of JavaScript, meaning that they're not attached to anything. You could just use them anytime you want. But the document is like a global object that has all of these different properties a part of it. So I'm going to show you how we can use the document or the DOM to access the HTML page. Okay. So once again, the DOM is how you access HTML elements. Also, the DOM has built-in functions and properties. Okay. I'm going to give you one example of one. It's one function that's already built into. I'm going to go ahead and just remove that for now. It's built into document. It's called write, right? It's a function called write. So remember, anytime you write in JavaScript, you end every single line with a semicolon. You always add a semicolon, and functions always have two parentheses. Okay. So quick test, really quick test. What do you call the thing that, what was the keyword I used for what you put in between the parentheses? Okay. So everybody who said parameters, you got it right. Or you can also call it arguments. Thanks, Gregory. So parameters, just to be sure again, parameters are passed into functions, also called arguments. It's crazy they call it arguments, like it's some kind of fight happening or something like that. Um, it's called arguments is another keyword, but you can just call them parameters. But you will hear people saying arguments a lot too. Arguments, I don't know why they use that word. It's probably another figure of speech in the sense of um, different things that help run a program. I like to just use the word parameters. So we could pass parameters to document.write. Tracy, I'm not sure if you have any questions. Let me know. Just be specific in what you are confused about, and I can definitely help you out. The string inside the quotation marks here. So document.write will write anything we want to the page. So I can write something to say, hello, hope all is well, Shanique, right? And then I can click run, and you're going to see it pops up right up here, right? Hello, hope all is well, right? We could put anything we want in there. We can even also put HTML tags. So I can make this a H1. Right? So if you notice, this can get really, really cool. This can get really, really cool. This is kind of cool because now you can build HTML on the fly, right? I can literally add a bunch of elements inside of here and just start building on the fly. You see, it's pretty cool. All right. So look, just with JavaScript, right? No HTML up here, not well, barely. Only thing I had was a P tag that's empty. But if you notice, we can use this document.write function, okay, to be able to write to the screen. So the way that this works is you say document is some built-in object, right? When you use the period right here in between it, this is telling the browser, the way the browser reads it, it says, okay, when you use the period, you want me to go and start using some of the built-in properties of this object. So I'm going to show you some examples of what are, so let me see, properties of the document object. Okay, so I'm just going to Google this so you can see it, and you're going to see there's so many different ones that you can use. I'm gonna open up this one. I'm also open up this one here. So you just seen the one I just used right here, which was called write, right? So I just use write, but there's different things. There's other functions too that are built in. All of these are built in. They all have specific purposes. We can go and get all the elements by name, get all the elements by ID, get all the elements on the page with a certain class name. Okay, we can execute different JavaScript commands. We can get the domain. So if we get on a website, we can like literally grab the domain out of the URL bar and then do something with it, like save it or show it to the user, or we can link them to a different website. We can set a cookie or return a cookie. So it gets really good. Like this is when it gets into a lot of stuff that we can do as far as manipulating the website. All right. So you don't have to learn all of these right now. We're going to build up to each and every one of these. But for now, I just want you to see that these are like built-in stuff. These are built-in functions and built-in properties. All right. So I'm going to show you another one. This is another very popular one, another popular function of document. It's called document.getElement by ID. And I want to get an element by ID. Let's say I call it answer. So what this is saying is it's going to go on the HTML. It's going to look for an element called answer. Let's say I put it right here and I say this is at H3. It has an ID called answer. and then we're going to put nothing right in between it. It's just empty. Okay, it's just empty. So this is answer element. All right. So this function called get element by ID, I'm going to put it right here so you see in a comment. Get element by ID returns a element. All right. We're going to store that element inside of that variable called answer element. We can then manipulate that element. Okay. That's a cool thing. We can go and get an element, and then we can manipulate it once we have access to it. All right. So we can say something like answer element dot inner HTML equals 10 times 10. Okay. That's the answer. So when I go over here and click run, you see, boom, up here, 100 pops up, right? 100 pops up. And you know what? I want to make that stand out. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add some style, CSS, because you guys all know about CSS. Make sure it's in my head tag. Then I'm going to add some style. I'm going to say answer to have a font size of 30 pixels. It should have a color of blue. It should have a border that is 5 pixels dotted green, and that's about it for now. All right. When I click run now, you're going to see my whole answer H3, which doesn't have any content right here, but later on it does have a 100 here, and the CSS still interacts with that element. So it's really cool. And later on, you're going to even see how you can use JavaScript to manipulate the CSS as well. So JavaScript is powerful in a lot of different ways. So just continue taking notes and ask any questions you may have, okay? Any questions you may have, just ask them right here. I just like to Google stuff a lot and really just understand everything that's behind it. So I want you guys to also kind of get used to that. So what I'm about to show you right now is, this is the Mozilla website. This is the documentation for like JavaScript and things like that. This is some very standard, like industry standard documentation. If I'm not mistaken, these are the people who actually maintain and write the code for JavaScript. So you can come to this website right here and learn about everything behind it. So they pretty much letting you know on this page, right? This is a documentation, and it's giving documentation on element, like what exactly is an element. So over here, I showed you guys right here, like I said, get element by ID returns an element, right? It returns an element object. I'm gonna call it element object. Okay, because that object now has properties and different functions that are associated with it. Okay, so that's what you need to understand. So you're writing a formula in JavaScript to manipulate the answer in HTML. Yes, you're writing a formula in JavaScript. you manipulate it with JavaScript, and then you display it in HTML. All right. You do all the manipulation, like you said, and formulas and stuff like that with JavaScript, and then you do all of the visuals with HTML and CSS. What happens when you put something in between that tag? It gets overridden. So if I put something right here on answer, let's say I say the answer was 500, click run, nothing happens, okay? Because I had that one. So let's say I click this and make it 10,000. You'll see. So now it says that 100,000. That 500 gets overridden, all right? So that's like if you go to a website and the total was $0. It starts off at 0, but as soon as you add something to the cart, we do some JavaScript math, and then we update the price. And now the price is $100 because of what you added to the cart. Okay. So I like this page right here. It's breaking down exactly what an element is and all of the properties that comes with it. The one we just did was inner HTML. I'm going to show you that right here. Inner HTML, right? It's a string representing the markup of the element's content. So, inner HTML is what we're about to do. What we did so far, let me see, ID. If you want to get the ID of an element, you can do that. If you want to get, let's see, what else? The name, the height, scroll to the top. You can make an element scroll to the top, or that's really cool. I used that before. The tag name, anything that you want to know about that element, how long it is, like what's the color of it, what CSS does it have with it, what attributes, like how many different attributes are being used at that moment. You can use all of them. So what inner HTML does is inner HTML is built in, like it's whatever in between those two tags. Whatever is in between the two tags is inner HTML. So I'm going to make a note of that. So inner HTML is the content, not even just the text, the content in between the open and close tags. So this is good. We learned HTML really on, and now you know what the open tag is, you know what the close tag is. So the inner HTML is just everything in between that open and close, okay? So we can say, using JavaScript, this is what I want you to put in between that open and close. You can tell it to put, right here, you see I told it to put an answer, right? An actual number. But what if I also wanted to do something like, you know what, I can put I can say right here, var total equals 10 times 5. And then I can do right here, I can say your total is, right? I do my concatenation like that. But you know what I really want to do? I want to make this a H1. So I'm going to do an H1 tag there at the beginning, and then I also got to close it. So when you close it, you got to make sure you add a plus sign again because you want to concatenate. You see, every time you want to add something new, you just add another plus sign. So we have a string, plus sign, variable, plus sign, another string, and then semicolon and end it all off. Okay, so now watch what happened when I click run. It says your total is 50. That's because we did your total is, and then we put this total right here, which is 10 times 5. Okay, so inner HTML is just going to take whatever string we give it any kind of string, and then you store that string in between this open and close tag. All right, and we could put any kind of text here. I could literally have put an image here if I wanted to and gave it a link to the image and everything, and that image would show up. So you can build stuff really dynamically, right, with your JavaScript. Any questions, or is this understood? Mm-mm-mm. Any questions? Any questions? Okay. Okay. And then we have. I think I see a couple questions. Okay, kind of asking the same question. So JavaScript just needs a reference point to carry out the function, meaning the HTML just uses a reference. Hence, why is it overwritten by the script? JavaScript just needs a reference point. Yeah, it needs somewhere to. I guess what you're saying is it needs something to manipulate. It needs the HTML to manipulate. JavaScript by itself doesn't do much. You can do some kind of like computations and things like that. Um, or also you can like store things. Like JavaScript is how cookies are usually like. That's the one way cookies are saved into the browser and into from the website. So when you go somewhere and they remember your information, they're using JavaScript to store it into the browser. So that way it just keeps track of your browser and stuff like that. Um, I'm not sure if I answered your question, but if I just want to hear it in a different way, so that way I can help out. Okay, sound like you got it. What was the website again? That website is mozilla.org, developer.mozilla.org. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. I don't know who is that. I'm on Instagram right now. That I just I'm messaging on Instagram. Does a PayPal magazine? Okay, cool. So inner HTML, yeah, definitely. Just I know you're going to watch this over again. It's going to be cool. The homework is just going to reinforce it. It's not going to be nothing crazy. It's going to be pretty much just going over these concepts again and making sure you really got it. Okay, so let me see. Okay. Any other questions? I'll be watching this like 3 times. The total goes in concatenation of the string. Your total is the total goes in concatenation of your string. Your total is boom. The H1 closing tag. Make sure that the whole string is header and size 1. Yes. Yes. So it's important that you see I also added my closing tag at the end here. I concatenated it in. It's very important to make sure you always open and close your tags. Very important, even in JavaScript. You don't want to just open it up and then don't close it, because later on you're going to be like, why does all of my text look like a different size or something like that? So it's important to definitely get used to um, opening and closing your tags when you're doing JavaScript. So the DOM is the web page. Yeah, the DOM is pretty much the entire document, the entire web page, and you use the DOM to access certain properties um, from the website. All right, like I was saying, you can get anything that's on there. Look, you can even get the script. If you're importing a bunch of different JavaScripts, you can get that list. That's pretty cool. You can open up a stream, like if you want to read a file or something like that. Last modify returns a date of when the last time the document was opened up. Um, Images. This is really cool. If you want to get a list of all of the images on the website currently, you can just call the images property. Has focus, shows which element has a focus right now. Forms, like if you have more than one form on a page, like with different input elements. So there's a lot of different things that you can get from the JavaScript. All right. So that's cool. That's really cool. I don't have much more to say. I got the homework already loaded in. So I'll show you guys where the homework is. I gotta upload this video as well. Then I'm gonna also upload the replay video. Okay, you got it. Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, no, this is a whole different world, guys. This is a whole different world. So that's why I don't want you guys to get too caught up on trying to understand it. This first lesson, you're going to go back and you're going to listen to it, and then you're going to ask some questions and you're going to get it. All right, believe me, it's just a whole different world. It's way different from the HTML world, but you'll get used to it. Hmm? It's just different. It's just different. Once you get used to it, you'll be like, oh, okay, all of these keywords and stuff like that. But if you have any questions, you can type them up in the JavaScript. We got a channel on Slack called JavaScript Questions. Okay. So there's a lot to it. And believe me, if I pack too much in one lesson, it's no problem because I'm going to be listening to you guys all week. So next lesson, next session, we could just take our time and go over, make sure that we're on the same page. All right. Also keep a heads up, keep an eye open. I may be doing a tutoring session on Thursday in the morning. So I'm going to probably send out a notification tomorrow to let you know for sure. Yeah. She said, can I just do a Wix website and turn it in? Not yet. Not yet. You'll get to that point soon. We'll get to that point soon. All right. We'll get there. We'll get there. First, you got to learn the mechanics behind it, and then I'll show you how to build websites and apps in a couple hours. We'll show you how to use all the tools. But first, you need to be able to talk the talk and walk the walk. All right. So deal with the pain for a second. It's not going to be that bad. This is the worst of it. All right. If you think you can survive this, you'll be fine. This is the worst of it. This is just getting used to it. After this, everything else builds on top of it. You just have to get this foundation out of the way. All right. So don't beat yourself up. All right. Don't go too low and get too overwhelmed thinking that this is going to be the same type of feeling for the next few weeks. This is just like the introduction. Like, what the heck is this? So it's cool. I've been here with plenty of students. Like I said, I've taught kids. I've taught other adults. I taught people in prison. So I definitely get it. I know. I notice. I know. I can't even see your faces right now, but mentally I can see your faces. I know the look because I've taught people in person. So I know when it's just like, but as you start getting used to why you need this, you're going to be like, oh, okay. It's okay, Ariel. Believe me, just take your time. Watch this replay video. So already, let me go over here and share this for you guys. I already got one of the videos uploaded on there, the one from earlier. So you can go back and watch that. And then I'm about to upload the replayable one, the one that's on YouTube. And then this is the homework assignment right here. So just check it out. Go through it. No rush. We have time, and ask every single one of your questions as they come up. All right. Hmm? Hmm? Yep. Yep. Great question. You can do your homework right in Atom. You create a program, and you're gonna write it right inside of Atom. You can also use CodePen or Ripple or any other Sublime Text, any kind of text editor that you want to use. Yes, this video is only accessed through the website. These videos are only for DEV202 students. They're not for anybody else. I don't want to scare people away and upload them to YouTube and they look at them in a different order. And also, this is just for people who are already committed to the commitment goals. And be honest with me, guys. Let me know as you're going through this if this is too crazy. All right, I'm here for you guys, and I want to make sure that you're getting it. So ask away. You can use the, you use both. It depends what you need it for. Sometimes you use the document.write. Sometimes you use the document.get element ID. The get element by ID is when you want to access the element. The .write is when you want to put text onto the screen, when you want to put something onto the page. I think you're talking about the inner HTML versus document.write. Okay. The inner HTML is for, when you want to just put something in between a certain tag. Document.write, that's more so for testing. That's when you just want to like put some text onto the screen, like the last thing. Yes, Tracy, y'all gonna troop through this for sure. I'm glad you guys are using VS Code. I really like that. I'm not sure if they have a Mac version. Yeah. Nah. I'm gonna teach you all about love, girl. All about love, girl. And Tuesday and Tuesday. What is it? Oh, repeat after me. A B C 8. 1, 2, 3. You know me, man. All right, Greg. No more singing. No more. Yeah, VS Code is really cool. If you can use VS Code on your computer, I definitely recommend that. I use it a lot. Yeah, for the homework, you can use document.write. It's cool. It's really up to you. I think, matter of fact, it may say use inner HTML. I think I do want you to use inner HTML because I want you. No, it doesn't matter because you're creating H1 tags on the fly. So yeah, you can use document.write. Smart. I think this is the first homework where I'm stumped. I have to do some soul searching. That's good. I know you guys want a challenge. I know you do. Huh? It's an editor, a text editor, like Adam. Look it up. I said, look it up. Yeah, VS is like I think it's cross-platform, so it should work on Mac and Windows. All right, guys. I hope you guys have a great night. Let me know if you need anything. I'll be on Slack all day tomorrow.